By Grabthar's hammer, Dr. Lazarus?
Don't do that. I'm not kidding.
I'm sorry, sir. I was only...
Just don't.
Man, where in the hell is he? An hour and a half late?
I mean, this is unreal. They're going to start eating each other out there.
How did I come to this?
Not again.
I played Richard III.
5 curtain calls.
There were 5 curtain calls. I was an actor once. Damn it, now look at me. Look at me!
Whew!
Your commander is on deck.
They really do love him.
Yeah, almost as much as he loves himself.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Commander,
Excuse me?
I must speak to you. It is a matter of supreme importance. We are Thermians from the Klaatu Nebula, and we need your help.
Hey, where's my limo?
Doesn't she talk?
Her translator is broken.
Okie dokie.
We are coming too.
All of you wish to go to the ship?
Yes, we wish to go to the ship.
Anybody got any change? That was a hell of a thing.
Jason, we're actors, not astronauts.
You guys want to go home? Say the word, we'll go home. Pay our bills, feed our fish, fall asleep in front of the TV, and miss out on all of this.
This Saris person that we're flying to meet, what does he want exactly?
He heard about the device. The Omega-13.
It has at its heart a reactor capable of unthinkable energy. If we were mistaken in our construction, the device would act as a molecular explosive, causing a chain reaction that would obliterate all matter in the universe.
Has Sarah's ever seen any of the historical records?
No, thank God he has not.
Hello, Saris. How you doing?
Deliver the device to me, or I will destroy your ship.
We gotta get out of here. Move the ship. Turn it. Move. Let's go.
The actors are going to play war.
Let's go.
Christmas 1999, Galaxy Quest exploded onto cinema screens in the USA and made its way to Europe and the UK in April of 2000. With an estimated budget of $45 million, it made over $90 million worldwide. The movie was met with very positive reviews from critics and especially fans of Star Trek. Since its release, it's been a must-watch for fans of science fiction, and many consider it one of the best Star Trek films out there, despite not being associated with the series. Cast and crew of the Star Trek movies have expressed their huge fondness for the film, with even J.J. Abrams admitting it being the best Star Trek film ever made. Writer David Howard developed the original idea and script, and titled the screenplay Captain Starshine. He was fascinated by the idea of the cast of Star Trek struggling to find work outside the famous franchise, and coping with being typecast. Everyone has heard stories about actors being trapped in roles, so it made it a very easy sell, which helps create this in-joke for the audience. In his original draft, Alan Rickman's character was the villain. His character in the original story had written loads of sci-fi novels and made lots of money, and with that money he uses it to discover the real thing by doing these strange experiments. Once he discovers the real aliens, they call upon Captain Starshine to save them. It was the first script David ever sold, so he was just happy to have sold it despite the changes that were later made. DreamWorks picked it up and producer Mark Johnson loved the concept, but felt it needed a rewrite, so it was handed to Bob Gordon. Dean Parisot took on the role as director, another big fan of science fiction, and he knew he was going to make a comedy, but wanted it to be played straight. He wanted the cast to believe what was happening was real. There weren't many gags in the original script, but loads of comedy came out of it. The cast of Galaxy Quest is pretty big, and all the actors have nearly equal amounts of screen time. Tim Allen plays Jason Nesmith, who plays Captain Taggart on the Galaxy Quest show. Jason is a washed-up actor who is clinging on to his past fame. He has become a bit of an alcoholic and is driven by his ego, but he also fails to realise the other cast members despise him, apart from Fred, who likes everyone. Tim had just finished the popular show Home Improvements, and the director thought Tim would be ideal for the role because he could draw upon aspects of his own life to bring to the character. Everyone's favourite female sci-fi actor, the always reliable Sigourney Weaver, plays Gwen, who plays Lieutenant Madison, the computer officer of the Protector on the show, who performs the communication duties. As the show's female sex symbol, her job consists largely of repeating communications to and from the computer. Even though her TV character is the blonde bimbo, in the reality of the film her character is very down to earth and intelligent, and seems to be the most supportive of the group. It is implied that her and Jason have feelings for one another, but won't bring themselves to admit it. Alan Rickman plays Alexander Dane, the actor who plays Dr. Lazarus. He's basically a spoof on Spock. He has a pretentious catchphrase, "By Grapthar's hammer, by the sons of Worvan, you shall be avenged." A trained Shakespearean British actor who often reminds the other cast members he once played Richard III and had 3 curtain calls. Alexander resents both his catchphrase and being typecast to the point of being forced to wear his character's prosthetic headgear at public appearances. Tony Shalhoub plays Fred Kwan, the actor who plays Tech Sergeant Chen. Chen is in charge of the engine room and the operator of the digital conveyor, basically the Star Trek transporter. He plays an Asian guy on the show despite not being Asian, similar to David Carradine on the show Kung Fu. In his older years he acts almost stoned throughout the movie and is often eating in most scenes, but the director had said Fred is just a burnt out actor and tired. He is completely unfazed by the strange events that occur and seems totally comfortable with the aliens. He is a loyal friend to all his co-workers, even Jason. DARYL Mitchell plays Tommy Webber, who plays the pilot Laredo. He was a child on the show and has aged considerably. He finally returns to being a pilot, but is a bit rusty, crashing the ship as he exits the spaceport. He thankfully gets his skills back after watching old episodes of the show. Also, Tommy has one of the best screams for a man on film.
Take him to medical quarters.
Thanks, Mathesar.
Sam Rockwell plays Guy Fleegman, an actor who had a minor role as a disposable and apparently unnamed character in one episode of the original series. Guy attends the Galaxy Quest conventions with the other cast members who always fail to recognise him and lives off the fame of being on the show. Oddly enough, Guy is roughly the same age as Tommy, but Guy must have aged very well because he appeared on the show as an adult. He spends most of the movie worrying about his imminent demise, which he believes is inevitable for minor characters such as his, showing a difficulty to separate reality from fiction. However, because he is a huge fan of the show, he is fully aware of the cliches that come with it, making him very handy for the rest of the crew.
Hey, don't open that! It's an alien planet! Is there air? You don't know!
Guy finally overcomes his fears and decides it's better to go out in a blaze of glory, since he's supposed to die anyway. But Fred encourages him to think of himself as the plucky comic relief. Enrico Colantoni plays Mathesar, the leader of the Thermians. Mathesar is like all of his people, an upright octopoid who appears as a white-skinned, grey-clad, black-haired human and speaks in stiff tones. He smiles warmly regardless of the circumstance. Mathesar and the rest of his crew are incredibly naive with regards to the truth. However, he remains very loyal to Nesmith and the other actors, still seeing them as heroes. Robin Sachs plays Saris. Robin unfortunately passed away in 2013. Saris is a warlike humanoid reptilian who destroyed the Thermian home planet and most of their race. Being bent on their destruction, he is a cruel, unforgiving, deceitful and sadistic, taking pleasure from others' pain. He is after the Omega-13, which he believes he can use as a weapon. Justin Long, in his first movie appearance, plays Brandon, a devoted Galaxy Quest fan with an encyclopedic knowledge of the show, and he is often ignored by Jason at conventions, but thankfully Jason realises he needs Brandon to help him save the day. Missy Pyle plays a Thermian crew member who falls in love with Fred. Although mostly shown in her human form, she exposes her tentacles when embracing Fred later on, after he successfully implements a clever and impressive plan. This would be one of Missy's early acting roles, and has since gone on to have a very successful career. The film opens at a sci-fi convention where the fans of the once popular TV show Galaxy Quest are desperately waiting to see the cast members, but a stressed cast are waiting for the main star, Jason Nesmith, who is late again. He arrives only to bask in his popularity, but the other members of the cast are fed up with his ego and constant lateness. Jason is approached by what it appears to be just a bunch of fans dressed up as sci-fi characters. However, they inform him they are Thermians from the Klaatu Nebula and they need his help. Jason just believes they are amateur filmmakers who want him to make a cameo in their movie, and he tells them to come back later. As he visits the toilets, he overhears some guys talking about him, describing him as a loser and an embarrassment to his cast members, who hasn't had a decent acting gig in years. Jason is left delusioned and depressed, and goes back to signing autographs, but lacking the energy and passion he was showing earlier. A bunch of his most dedicated fans approach him and ask him some detailed questions about the show, and Jason loses it and tells them it's just a TV show and walks off. Jason goes home and gets wasted in front of the TV, and finds the following morning the Thermians are back, asking him to join them on their mission to save their species. Jason, suffering from a hangover, still thinks it's just an amateur shoot and is transported to their spaceship. Surprised by the quality of their set, he is introduced to the Thermians' arch-nemesis, Saris, who demands the Omega-13 or he will destroy them. Jason, still thinking it's make-believe, tells them to fire on Saris as he wants to go home. They send him back via the transport system on their ship, which opens up, revealing the grandness of space, and Nesmith realises this is no joke. He is sent home at lightning speed. The other cast members are hosting an opening at an electronics store, and Jason is yet again late. They are pissed off with him and refuse to believe his ludicrous story, but the Thermians are back and confirm the truth as Saris demands Jason's return. Jason decides to go back, followed by the rest of the cast, including Guy, as they believe this could be a paid acting gig. The cast, however, are shocked as they are teleported to the spaceship, realising it's no joke, and for once Jason is telling the truth. They are introduced to the real NSEA protector. Gwen expresses concern, warning they are actors, not astronauts, but Jason wants to relive his glory years and do it for real, letting his ego get the best of him. Tommy, the show's pilot, has to control the real NSEA protector and navigate it out of the docking bay, which he barely manages as he scratches it on the side of the dock. I always found this scene strange, because it appears to be the front of the ship rubbing against the side, but wouldn't the wings of the ship have been damaged already? The cast of Galaxy Quest are informed of their mission and the history of the Thermians, but are confronted by Saris, who is not happy that Jason fired on him earlier, and demands the Omega-13. They attempt to escape after trying to call his bluff, but end up in a minefield and the ship is nearly destroyed. In order to repair the spaceship, they need a new beryllium sphere. They now have to work together and become the characters from the show for real. The visual effects for Galaxy Quest were handled by ILM, and they still hold up really well today. When it comes to epic battles and adventures in space, Industrial Light and Magic are usually the best to handle these type of movies, with their vast experience working on Star Wars and the Star Trek movies. A lot of movies in the late 90s with computer generated effects have held up really well. I don't think the film abuses CG and only uses it when needed. It doesn't come across as an abuse of the technology, it serves its purpose well. A lot of the shots with spaceships are miniatures and look incredible. You'd think everything would be CG, but there's a nice mix of the two. The CG animated babies and the rock monster help widen the range of alien characters in the film, and are visualised very well by the animators. Blending the shots with the live action footage has stood up over the years, and still provides some exciting scenes. Stan Winston Studios handled all the makeup and creature effects, and as usual the studio provides first class work. The makeup for Saris used a lot of new technology, with a mix of applied makeup and servos built into his outfit to work the wings on his back and the tentacles on top of his headpiece, but the facial movements are all driven by the actor. The score to Galaxy Quest was composed by David Newman. If you browse David's credits on IMDb, he is a composer that mainly supplies scores to comedy movies, and seems like the perfect fit to Galaxy Quest, with its heavy use of comedy, but he also brings a lot of scope and energy to the movie, matching the likes of John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith. Listening to the score, it captures the adventure-like sound of a Star Trek film, and the emotional touches John Williams brings to his vast catalogue of work. David Newman is a composer that should be doing more science fiction, because it just seems so natural to him. The main theme for the film is memorable and catchy, and when he introduces the new theme for the TV show at the end, it's epic and grand. The soundtrack is also very touching when Jason admits he is not Captain Taggart and comes clean. It's a very sad moment, and the music definitely delivers. It's a score that should be in everyone's collection, You can still purchase the complete soundtrack online for $20. In 2008, a series of comics were introduced based on the further adventures of the crew. Jason and his fellow actors have to save the world again just before the launch of the new series. Early this year saw the release of a new series of comics titled The Journey Continues. There have been talks of a sequel since the original movie came out. Tim Allen had mentioned last year there was a script produced, and Sigourney Weaver and Sam Rockwell had expressed an interest in returning, but in my opinion I think they've left it too late to do a follow-up, and even though I'd like to see further adventures of the characters, I don't think a sequel is needed, and the movie stands perfectly on its own. They risk tarnishing the quality of the first film if a sequel was made. I first saw Galaxy Quest on its initial release. I'd seen the upcoming previews and was very much intrigued by its premise, and the touches of comedy used in the trailers set the tone of what it was going to be. Apparently it was a movie that was difficult to market. They didn't want it to come across as a spoof movie and mislead its audience. The trailer does use a lot of scenes that aren't in the film to help sell the story. You have the aliens landing outside Jason's house. Dialogue is lifted from other scenes that are deleted, and other random scenes such as Sigourney Weaver's character trying to distract the alien thugs with their cleavage didn't make the final cut. The film was classified an R rating at the time due to the use of swear words. Sigourney clearly uses the F word in one scene, which was later dubbed with her saying "screw that." Would the added swearing have made it funnier and a bit more adult? Possibly. It certainly makes it a bit more realistic, I suppose. In that situation you would definitely use the harshest words available when confronted with giant chompers instead of "screw that." The idea of a bunch of out-of-work actors trying to relive their glory days I think is instantly appealing. It's sad seeing stars of TV or the big screen being typecast and struggling to find work because the Hollywood system and even the public just see them as one character. Trying to break that mould is very difficult, and the actors themselves come to resent the characters they are well known for. Alan Rickman's character Alexander seems the most depressed with his position. He was once a great actor admired by his peers, and is now just followed by a bunch of obsessed fans who only believe he is Dr. Lazarus. But what the film does well is in showing you the problems the actors face by putting them in a scenario where they come to embrace the characters they once despised to a certain degree. It's realising it isn't a bad thing to be known as an iconic TV actor. Alexander himself comes to show respect for the line he so detested earlier on in the movie. "By Grapthar's hammer you shall be avenged." When Quillick dies he delivers the line with such class. He realises how important that line is to Quillick and the fans who adore his character. As the movie opens at a sci-fi convention, it pokes fun at the idea of people dressing up and waiting patiently to get an actor's autograph, and seeing the fans obsess over the show of Galaxy Quest, asking actors detailed questions about a certain episode. We have all encountered similar scenarios at conventions, and even have friends who discuss the minute details of a film or a TV show at great length. But the beauty of what the film does is that it makes the fans just as much the heroes of the film. They come to the aid of the actors who are struggling to cope with the reality of the situation, and have totally forgotten what happened in previous episodes of Galaxy Quest. At the end, when Jason salutes Brandon and his friends, it's so heartwarming to see he has fully embraced his hardcore fans, and has demonstrated there is more to him than being an actor. So I imagine when the Klingons attack Earth, it's going to be the Star Trek fans who are going to save us. With its heartwarming moments, there is sadness as well. For example, when Jason has to admit he is lying to Mathesar, who truly believed he was Captain Taggart. Tim Allen probably provides the best performance of the whole film in this one scene. Jason opens up and realises what he has done, and you see Gwen just looking sorry and heartbroken as Jason spills the beans. It's a very moving scene. The comparisons to Star Trek are very obvious from the start, and it doesn't make any attempts to artistically distance itself from it and what it's homaging. It's a very tongue-in-cheek satire that embraces the fandom of science fiction and the cliches that come with it. Because it does this so well, it's unofficially been branded a Star Trek film. To be honest, I think it's better than most of the Star Trek movies. It captures the spirit of the classic 60s show and very cleverly modernises it without going too far. It's the chemistry between the characters that keep you invested. With Star Trek you have Kirk, Spock and Bones, who everyone loves, and seeing them interact with each other. But Galaxy Quest, for me, there are far more characters you become attached to. I think the whole cast of the show are equally interesting. I could watch Tech Sergeant Chen go out on his own adventure, or just see more of Sam Rockwell's character Guy, who nearly steals the show with his cowardly and over-the-top performance. I think the film is nearly flawless, and I've never had any issues with it. You could argue, however, the villain Saris is a bit generic. Despite the amazing performance and makeup, his character does feel like a stock villain from an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. Also, with Jason and his fellow actors smashing through the convention and causing all this damage, there are seemingly no repercussions of what they have done. There is no involvement with the government or investigation into this alien spaceship that has landed, but that is nitpicking and it's not the focus and direction of the story. It's centred around the cast and the fans, and everything outside of that is kind of redundant and doesn't need further attention. The movie is easily in my top 5 comedies. The jokes in the film never get old, and that makes it so rewatchable. I've lost count how many times I've seen this film. It just never gets stale. There is always a joke you missed the first time around, and you laugh more on the second and third viewing. What makes the movie work so well is the consistent tone. It never crosses the line in becoming overly serious or a straight out comedy. It manages to balance everything, which is very difficult to do, but the director does it effortlessly. With great comedy, it's always played straight. It's not self-aware and trying to throw jokes at you. It comes from the characters who struggle to cope with the situations they are put in and how they interact with one another. The cast is fantastic and everyone is on top form. It's so difficult to decide who comes out on top. I think all the actors just give stellar performances. It's tough, Sam Rockwell comes close to being my favourite, but then you've got Alan Rickman, who is just as good, with his dry deadpan performance. Justin Long, who impressed me when it came out, portrays such a believable fan of science fiction. He is a walking encyclopedia of knowledge. He has a very nervous and awkward personality, but very likeable at the same time. Galaxy Quest is highly recommended. All the efforts made in the visual effects, photography, music and overall production are to a very high standard. The direction is solid and the story is handled with such care and passion. I think it would be hard for anyone to dislike it. It's a great comedy with a solid serving of science fiction, which is hard to pull off. It's an affectionate homage on Star Trek and science fiction. You'd be mad not to own it.
Mathesar, there's no such person as Captain Taggart. My name is Jason Nesmith. I am an actor. We're all actors. We pretended. We lied.
Oh. Yes. You understand that, don't you, Mathesar?
It's all fake. Just like me.
You get to shut down a neutron reactor.
That's right.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Jason, but I don't know how to shut down a neutron reactor unless you took a learning annex course I don't know about. I'm pretty sure you don't know how to shut down a neutron reactor either.
No, I don't. But I know someone who does. Anybody there? Hello?
Hello?
Got him. Listen to me. This is Jason Nesmith. I play Commander Peter Quincy Taggart of NSEA Protector. Crew and I are in a lot of trouble, and we need your help.
What does the Omega-13 device do?
Many happen to believe that it is a matter collapser. Bomb capable of destroying pretty much everything in about 13 seconds. But myself and others are convinced that what it is a matter rearranger, affecting a 13-second time jump to the past.
Well, why 13 seconds? That's really not enough time to do anything of any importance.
It'd be time to redeem a single mistake.
You fool! You fail to realize that with your armor gone, my ship will tear through yours like tissue paper.
And what you fail to realize is my ship is dragging mines.
Oh no! Turn! Turn!
Alex, where are you going?
To see if there's a pub.
If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find more retrospective reviews by clicking on these videos. If you want to watch my upcoming reviews early before they go live on YouTube, you can support me through Patreon. Don't forget the poster designed by my talented artist Peter Bruce, celebrating 100 retrospectives, is still available to purchase. We ship worldwide and postage is affordable.